people, the right place at the right time.
My thing is that if you're going to do something, why not do it beautifully?
Yeah, absolutely.
Elegance.
Like your room. That's like why we're here, right? Because we were sitting here. We're like, why not just have a conversation?
I was checking out the wall, going, because I've got the noise dampening felt. And I was looking at this, going, that actually looks a lot nicer, and does the exact same thing, but it looks nicer.
I wish I had come up with this idea, but I thankfully have women in my life that are smarter than I. And they told me, no, you don't. You could just do the sound paneling and that would be fine and utilitarian, but make it nice. Make it pleasant for people.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the difference. That first part of your sentence.
Yeah.
I've got my cat. My cat really doesn't care.
No.
No cats on the
I'm
keyboard.
gonna hop up on your desk. So I've got 2 indoor cats, and one of them, he makes his cameo pretty often.
Oh, I'm sure.
Comes up and gives the glory shot and turns around and pushes everything off the desk. I'm like, dude, really? But they don't care about what the wall looks like.
No.
See, that's what you need. You need a studio cat.
Oh, yeah, because that'll make my job so much easier.
It will. You could come in the morning, clean the litter box, and then as you're setting things up, he'll come and move the mic out of the way, knock over a camera or two.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Cinematic effect,
Call it adventurous.
The adventure cat, yeah. Some adventure videos. So, but I think it's. I always find it funny when you have a pet like Hazel, our dog. She'll jump up on my lap when she is done trying to ring the doorbell. We have the doorbell hanger on so she can come in hey, I got to go to the bathroom. But my office is upstairs. I can't hear it. But she'll come up to the office and she'll be like, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, all right, give me 1 minute. Hey, I'm here. And then she'll realize hey, I don't got a minute. So she'll jump up on my lap and then hop onto the desk hey, I'm here. We got some business to take care of. So I'm like, all right, let's go outside. And thank goodness she's a Chiweenie and not a lab.
Oh, sure.
That would be much more devastating. But
sorry, a Chiweenie?
Yeah, half Chihuahua, half Dachshund, so half wiener dog.
Not a real breed.
It's a real breed.
It's like all the doodles. They're not real breeds.
They're real breeds. Ours is the best.
It's a real dog doodle.
We have a parkour puppy.
A shepherd doodle.
Yeah.
Doberman doodle.
Doberman doodle. Is that such a thing?
Probably.
There's somebody that did that. Why?
A friend of mine is a doodle breeder.
Doodle breeder.
Really? Well, they're legit. They're part of the AKC.
Okay,
whatever, dude.
To be the guy coming up with dog breeds.
It's a fake dog breed.
The first guy is over there in the corner going, look at that.
Right?
Look at your dog. That's so bad.
It kind of looks like a German Shepherd, but it also looks like a poodle. Yeah. Yes, because it's a Shepherdoodle. I'm literally making that up. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
It is now.
But I can make one of those. I'll make one on Sora.
Oh, there you go.
Do you know Sora?
Oh, that's one of the ChatGPT models, isn't it?
It's a OpenAI model, yeah.
Gotcha.
So ChatGPT has their image generator, which is new, and it's better than Sora. But Sora is kind of faster and it produces some pretty cool stuff. It does video and images.
Gotcha.
But you can prompt it in ways to mix and match things. Somebody did a land shark, so it's a shark with 4 legs.
Right.
What is it? Catfish. Different random things. People historically, so they've got George Washington as a break dancer. Yeah, and I've seen some of these images and I'm just laughing. I'm like, what if George Washington or Lincoln, these people that we hold in high historic esteem existed today?
Right.
Would they be the same people? Yeah,
Well, would they get offended if they were caught wearing parachute pants? I mean, come on, are they coming back or not?
What if Abe Lincoln was just really into parachute pants, though? He's like, why didn't we think of this earlier?
Exactly. Like all the pockets, the zippers. Like I can put stuff in here. I can carry some stuff.
I'm a firm believer that George Washington would have worn cargo shorts. Lots of different pockets for all of his different tools.
Oh, absolutely.
Jorts.
Oh, jorts.
Jorts and a powdered wig.
Oh my God.
I mean, if I saw a man in a powdered wig and jorts, like that man must be the most confident man on earth. Like,
You'd have to have confidence.
you kind of have to respect it.
They pretty much did that anyways, but they're like, with the knickers or whatever, they're
Yeah, that's
just take away the
true.
tall socks. Pretty
But
much
you
wear
know,
jorts.
Alex Ramosi brought back jorts. So
Yeah.
hey,
I can't wait till we get a Zoomer president who's also going to wear something outrageous like that.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Well,
We're going to have a president who's got a legitimate TikTok presence before they're elected.
we will. We will.
For real,
legit-
doing TikTok dances.
Oh, yeah. That's how they'll be elected.
That'll be a flosser.
That's how they'll be elected. All right, we're gonna have a dance off.
Can you floss?
They're going to have all these stupid moves like put your ballot in the bin,
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
there's
I don't know if that's awesome. Or
there's a Mexican guy on Facebook who posts his videos on how to dance. Things like the lawnmower
Oh,
and the rake. The blower.
oh, that's good.
So it's
that's
hilarious
awesome.
because in the past I was not allowed to dance, and now I look at these going, I can do those moves.
I can do this.
And if you put them together, so he'll put them together with mariachi or whatever music in the background,
That's awesome.
and he'll go through the moves and he'll call them out.
That's
So it's like
funny.
the lawnmower. It's hilarious. He's also the guy who does the Mexican word of the day. So
Mexican word of the day.
yeah, I can't think of any good, but he'll like taco. Let's talk about that kind of stuff. But
Right.
he'll come up with really funny ones, and it's hilarious.
A lot of wordplay then, huh?
A lot of wordplay.
Gotcha.
A lot of all wordplay. all
So
wordplay.
that's going to be the kind of thing that gets people elected because now they've got all this massive social media, like the little kid who does the Trump impersonations. Have you ever seen him?
No, little kid.
There's a little like 7-year-old kid who I've never seen him anywhere except like Facebook Reels.
So are you saying we're going to elect a comedian?
We're going to elect somebody who knows how to use social media at a very young age,
Yeah.
which is a very scary thought. Thanks for putting that in my brain.
I've heard some people pose that will be AOC's key to winning the Democrat primary and running against J.D. Vance.
Outtakes? Yeah. AOC outtakes.
AOC outtakes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll pass some congressional something or another where they at least have to take a test on like history. That would be nice.
Oh, sure.
Do you
Just
know the 50 states?
Do you know what state you're in currently?
Of mine you're in currently.
Some of those videos of the kids on the beach questions.
Oh.
What are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? You have the right to hang out on the beach.
Oh.
I think one of my favorite ones was, what country is Europe in? And they would pass it to them and they're like, I don't know.
Australia. Yeah, exactly. Those are too funny. It's sad.
They're in California in Sacramento and like what's the capital of California? It's like I don't know, Los Angeles? Like
Washington, D.C.?
yeah, oh
If they're lucky.
yeah.
Who won the Civil War?
America?
Europe?
Europe. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. Sometimes though we all don't blame the system, blame the individual that's in the system. If you don't study, you don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's nature.
True.
We are individuals. We have a choice. We wake up every day. You choose to pick up a book and learn. You choose to sit at your computer and learn. You choose to pick up your phone and watch TikTok videos.
Granted,
and guess what you learn?
Granted,
how to
at that
do
age,
the floss or whatever it is.
at that age, I probably would have opted to not do the learning part. I know my grades. I know what I graduated every level with.
You inadvertently learned.
We had 105 people in my high school graduating class, and I think I was somewhere around 60 something. So, yeah.
I am just very appreciative.
I put in effort.
I'm very appreciative of all those beautiful girls that I went to high school with for helping me study. You know, having rewards for studying is always a good thing. Pass your test, you get a reward. I'm good with that.
Yep.
You know,
I dig your studio though.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah, the studio is amazing. I know the first time I came in here, I was like, this is like the bomb.
Well, the different sections,
I'd
it
never go
reminds me
home.
of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey.
Every time you turn a corner, it's a different place.
Yeah, and I haven't even been around the corner yet.
We got some closed off sections in the back that we eventually want to turn into like solo recording booths.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's smart.
That'll be the day.
Yeah. Rent a space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do your own private gigs.
That way, ideally, we'd have it all automated for like single camera. Your audio would automatically go to some AI system to curate it.
Sure.
By the time you get home, you've already got an email with your whole video right there.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Full meal deal.
It'd be nice.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer letting people do something like that, or do you prefer interviewing?
You know what I really prefer? We were talking about this over breakfast, but about that documentary service. Because podcasts are fun, interviews are fun. Getting to do advertisements, it's really great when you get to see some of the yields of your efforts. But I think the things that we've enjoyed the most is when we get to sit down with someone's family member. We get to tell their whole life story. Get to put that into like a nice documentary. We got to include family video, family photos. And then my favorite part of that whole process is oftentimes I get invited by the family to watch it with them on the premiere.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's always an emotional affair, and that's when I know I've done a good job.
I wish so. My mom passed away at a really young age, and this was in the era of VHS recorders.
Oh, sure.
And I asked her to, just answer questions.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, that probably would have been just hard to just talk, especially then when people didn't have phones in their face all the time, because they didn't exist. But I asked her, and it probably would have been tough for her to, talk to the camera and say, hey, I was born in 1948 and here's my life and stuff. And my dad, I tried to get him to do it, but he was just like reluctant.
Yeah.
But what I've done, which is a trip, because both my parents passed away, and I don't have recordings of my mom's voice, which is really kind of sucks. I'd love if I could. I mean, I probably wouldn't recognize my mom's voice. I may just, because of being the kid and stuff, but who knows? But my dad, I have recordings of his voice. And a couple of years ago, so AI has changed so much, but a couple of years ago, Don and I were talking about my dad at Christmas time. We're just, hey, I wish your dad was here. So I found an image of my dad, and I cleaned up the audio the best I could, because a lot of it was doctor visits and stuff. There was a lot of ambient noise, but I cleaned it up as best I could. And I did a Christmas greeting using 11 Labs.
That was like 2-3
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
That's
But
all right.
I used 11 Labs, which is a voice tool, and something else. I don't remember what I used for the video, but it was just a picture. And the AI tool that I used for that animated the face.
Right.
And my dad never spoke the words. I've got it somewhere. I've got a file somewhere. And the first time I watched it, it took me a little while to push play.
Right.
Because I'm like, wow, I already heard the voice. And then when I pushed play and sent it to him, it was eerie. It was weird. It was like,
we still have the video
This really
somewhere.
is my dad's voice.
Right.
Yeah.
There was something about that just this last week that I saw. I thought it was wild. It was it's a bit of a more morose situation because a fellow was killed, and so the killer and the family were brought to court because that's what happens. But what the family did was they took their father, they took just like what you did. They took a photo, they took his audio, and they made a video of the father saying that he forgave his killer. Because,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and like it's a weird situation, just like in a conceptual sense, but man, that's crazy that we're in that time.
Yeah. And it's just getting better. I mean, I was talking with somebody yesterday. He's like, yeah, we're using HeyGen a little bit, and he wants me to come in and work with this company. But HeyGen, the video animation, I mean, it's basically AI video.
Sure.
I use a lot of those in my YouTube videos. And I come straight out. It's like, hey, this is Brian's AI avatar because he's out doing something more important. Make stuff up. But, it's honestly at first glance, if you don't know, you don't know. A friend of mine a couple of years ago, I did a HeyGen video. Just, hey, I was in Arizona. It was last year. I was at the 10X offices. And I'm like, hey, I'm here. And I posted it in Japanese. And he called me up and he goes, I didn't know you spoke Japanese. Well, he had just come back from Croatia. So I said, yeah, not only do I speak fluent Japanese, I speak fluent Croatian. And I sent him the video of that. He's like, whoa. I speak 138 languages fluently.
That quickly, yeah.
I was with somebody the other day who's Persian. And she said, send me a video on Farsi. So I'm like, okay, what is Farsi? Persian speaks Farsi. Perfect. No problem. It's because it doesn't say Farsi. It says Persian. So I found Persian and she's like, it was about 98% accurate, except for a couple, kind of like what we were saying with China, having different dialects and
It's just got these small tells.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But the voice and the mouth with HeyGen are perfectly synced. And you never spoke those words. And I certainly don't speak Croatian. I don't speak Japanese either.
That's really interesting. So it just popped into my mind. So in my previous role at SMC, so one of the things I had to do is I was responsible for user manuals. So I drafted this really complex manual, and I have a copy of it in 3 languages. But not only do I have the original draft in French, German, Spanish, as well, and then English. So I guess 4 languages. I wonder if I dumped it into AI and had it translated through AI before the actual translation. I wonder how different they would be from the final draft that we had. I kind of want to, even though it's not that's not anything that I'm doing right now at the moment, but just from to see kind of how accurate AI would be just to dump it into like Notebook LM or something like that, just to see like what would the brief come back and say, like how accurate would this be to that, using that like as a comparative tool, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many amazing tools out there.
Like we were saying before, because a friend of mine, he's a book publisher and author and all of that. And he just spoke at his first Spanish-only event. He's a professional speaker, goes around the country. And he's Mexican, which is funny because up until 2 weeks ago, he'd never done a Spanish-only event. Well, one of his books, his primary book, is only in English. And all of the people who were attending the event are like, well, do you have this in Spanish? So he sends me a quick text. He's like, can we do this? I said, yeah, let me see. And I put in the file into one of something. He's like, yeah, your file's too big. I said, it's going to take a little longer because you're going to probably have to do it section by section, chapter by chapter.
Yeah.
But it can 100% be done because I gave him like the first 3 pages or something. He goes, holy cow, this is dead on. I've got a friend who's in San Antonio. There's a really big Puerto Rican community. And Puerto Rican Spanish. I started speaking Spanish. I went to a bilingual preschool, so I started speaking Spanish when I was 4. Not that I'm any good at it. Kind of like China. If I'm immersed in it, after a couple of days, I speak Spanish.
Right.
Like about a 6-year-old, 7-year-old level, but enough to where I can find the bathroom.
So you can order milk and go to the bathroom.
Exactly. The important stuff. So, where was I going with that? I don't know. Brain totally 55-year-old brain loss right there.
Reset.
Well, and this is a little bit of my linguistics background coming out, but this is what I suspect is going to be the real angle that AI has over traditional translations like Google Translate.
Yeah.
People have always notoriously had problems with it. And I
I know where I was
suspect
going.
that the primary issue is not because Google is bad at translating these words to their semantic equivalents in another language. The problem is that the majority of our language is already in person to person. Majority is body language.
Yeah.
After that, you get into intonation, which is how you say your words, just at like you're saying hey versus hey, different meaning. Same word though, same semantic value. And then you go into the connotation of the words that you use. So I can say you did your job poorly versus you did your job abysmally. Same equivalent value for the most part, but very different connotative values.
Yeah.
Dictionaries have a very hard time translating connotation from one language to another. AI will have a much easier time doing that.
Well, that's where I was going because of that Puerto Rican population. Puerto Rican Spanish and Mexican Spanish are different, and as is Spanish, which is what everybody's taught in high school. I did some translations with HeyGen doing the Puerto Rican Spanish, and they're like, "This is dead on."
Brilliant.
And all the Puerto Ricans I know have told me to not use certain words that I would use in like normal Mexican Spanish. They're like, yeah, don't use that word because it's condescending or whatever.
Gotcha.
So he's like, this is dead on perfect translation. So yeah, and I use ChatGPT, the app, and I'll have conversations with people whose native language is not English. And I'll just tell it, hey, I'm having a conversation with somebody whose native language is X. Translate it for us, and we'll have that full conversation. So now you're talking about tonalities and all of that. You see it. It's just doing the translation. And the cool thing with the app is it actually will pick up your tonalities. So it will make those modifications too.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, so you're right. It's in the next year, as much as it's changed in the last couple of years, in the next year it's going to be even more so. And the next 5 years, I mean, we talk. So I grew up with rotary telephones, and rotary telephones lasted a long time. And then we did push buttons until 20 years ago, so those lasted a long time. The world we live in right now, in 5 years, we won't recognize.
No.
It's going to be entirely different as fast as all of this, between electric cars and hydrogen and all of that, and AI and smart homes. Like, you go into my house, and I mean, Don's been there. You go to my house and you talk to my house. Like, literally, I've got an Amazon device in almost every room, and all of my lights in the house are voice controlled. I had somebody's watching my cats. Yesterday, her code wasn't working on the lock. She's like, okay, well, let me reset your code real quick. And I went, okay, try it now. I'm 2,000 miles away. Really? Before it would be like, well, okay, thanks for trying. Look for the key under the mat.
Yeah. I saw something, and it kind of just goes to show just almost how absurd some of these kind of changes in quality of life have gone. But it was released as a bit of a meme, I think. 6 months ago, I think it was Kubota, they released a lawnmower, but the whole thing was that it had a screen on it, not so that you could monitor the internals of your little engine there. It was so that you could play like the 1994 version of Doom that you used to have on your computer.
While you're mowing the lawn.
I guess so. No, I don't know. Everything in our houses are smart now, and either you are going to embrace it and you got to keep up with it, or you just got to have to realize that, I guess the Amish were right, and I'm just going to have to live like them now. Yeah,
well, true. A friend of mine, we were actually visiting last night. He's like, as soon as they have the chip implants down, he's doing it. I'm like, I'm not sure about that, but I will do Meta glasses when they get better.
Oh, sure.
We already do. I mean, I've got an analog watch on now, but we already do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's Back to the Future is not so hypothetical anymore. It's when is it coming?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know Elon Musk is a bit of a cultural zeitgeist figure at the moment. And as much as all of his
brilliant.
He is, absolutely. And as much as all of his current stuff is kind of gaining attention with Starlink and with all of his Doge currently, in 5 years, it's going to be Neuralink. That's going to be
100%.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and they've already had so many things on YouTube that have been out for a decade on, and we're, that don't get attention because it's wounded warrior related, as they're trying to find ways to help our amputees and people with disabilities find ways either to communicate or navigate through life. And it's and that's where a lot of our technology actually is really funny. Without DARPA, our cars wouldn't have GPS.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have many of the toys that we enjoy today in our smartphone without, all these wonderful things that so many people are so up in awe, like just against right at the moment. Our that investment that we put into our that military machine, this, no matter how much we don't like it, to defend ourselves, it is that inevitable technology engine that gives us wonderful things. Like AI would not be here if it wasn't for so many other things that the military wanted.
Yeah.
Because they want
1950s.
soldier intelligence, like the smart soldier of the future. It's like everybody thinks about like our soldiers that are in the field, the grunt holding a machine gun is nowhere like what you see in the movies anymore. I mean, every one of them is equipped with a GPS locator. They know right where they are in the battlefield. They know so much more about them because they're not expendable. Like other countries, their soldiers are expendable. The United States does not look at a human, just your normal soldier is not an expendable person.
If only just for pure pragmatic reasons. We've invested a lot of money into a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Or just even the lowest common denominator. The guy that everybody feels is like, I'm just going to go in and be a soldier.
Not anymore.
I've got an M16. No, they're investing millions of dollars into that person. By the time you think about their training, their everything, it's
everything.
They're protecting that asset no matter what. They want to know where it is at all times.
Absolutely.
It's all Kevlar this and titanium that and whatever. But you were mentioning the prosthetic type of thing, and it flipped my switch back to the $6 Million Man. And you think about the $6 Million Man now.
Buck Rogers.
$6 Million Man now. First of all, the price points come down quite a bit, but bionics is a real thing.
Yeah.
Because living in San Antonio, that's where all of the wounded warriors come. I mean, that's where they come for rehab, and there are guys walking around with full robotic prosthetics, literally walking down the street with AI assisted prosthetics.
Yeah, you can get from your hip down.
Yeah.
Fold two legs.
Yeah, it's
moving parts and put on a pair of jeans and walk down the street today because of all the a large part of that is all AI technology. Yeah. They can't program it to go walk. It's an interface between your body and a computer.
But AI has gone so far. I mean, with discovering the pyramid thing right now. That discovery was
which one with the pillars underneath?
That's AI that found that. There was a
but is it really found?
There was a community or
I haven't dug it out yet.
There was a village, a new village, Aztec village discovered just recently that was found with AI assistance. That they had no clue it was there, because it's buried under 1,000 years or whatever of Amazon jungle. And there it is. Wait, there's an anomaly that we would never have seen.
Well, no, the computational power that these machine learning algorithms afford systems that were advanced 3 years ago, now they look primitive almost.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, we were talking when did I get started with AI? ChatGPT was version 3.5. And now it's funny because now we have 3.0, which is not 0, it is O. I don't know how they go backwards with. I don't, and I'm sure that OpenAI has a system. I don't know what it is, but 3.0 and 3.5 worlds apart.
Oh, sure.
And that's only a couple of years, I mean, and then you look at all of the others, and we're just talking large language models, things that a business would use. It's different now than it was last month. You asked me about Gemini. Gemini seems to be like the redheaded stepchild, but it's still really, really good.
What's Microsoft doing?
That's Gemini.
That's Gemini?
Yeah.
Gemini's Google.
Or, sorry.
Google.
Yeah. Copilot is.
Is that what they're...
But Copilot's built into, you asked me about the button on my laptop yesterday. Copilot is built into.
Yeah.
Well, only if you pay for it.
No, it's part of their system. It's part of their operating system.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think they're
Maybe
even...
that's on, because I drive a Mac. They want me to pay for it out.
Oh, that could be. I mean, everything's got a payable upgrade. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to pay to play. I mean, if you want all the tools.
And people ask that. Well, the guy I was with last night asked me about the image generation stuff, and he's like, "Oh, do you have to pay?" I'm like, "No, that part's free, but this other stuff you have to pay. And is it worth the $20? Yeah, it's worth the $20. And some people, well, the $20 is definitely worth the $20. Yeah. Depending on what level you're at, whether that 200 is worth the $200, that's another story. But I've got a lot of friends who use the $200 a month enterprise, and they use it.
Sure.
They've got teams of 50, 60 people, but it does so much analytics and figures out how to basically run their business.
Yeah.
I mean, even me, people ask, how do you do what you do? And most of my business is automated now. Like I've got a company running, I've got 2 businesses running right now, almost entirely automated while I'm sitting here with you. So can it be done? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more solopreneur type people, and you're going to start seeing, well, they think the first trillionaire will come out of AI, and they're expecting the first solopreneur billionaire from AI.
Yeah, makes sense.
All by yourself, nothing else but AI running your business. I mean, think about that. That's crazy. Some people are happy to make $100,000 in a year, and they're working hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I heard a good point, or that someone made once, where like if you took the top executives from a $100 billion company and you compared it to the top executives at a $500 billion company, you think there's a difference in how hard they're working? No. It's about, 1, the problem that they're trying to fix, and then 2, the tools that they're using.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got your resources.
Yes.
That's the one thing I think so many people overlook is that every one of those individuals come equipped with a Rolodex of resources that you can't see. You will
Rolodex for you young kids is your phone.
Your phone, yeah, your phone, exactly. Your network, your network equals your net worth always. It's that who can I call at the drop of a dime every time reliably, and will show up.
I think I heard that from Bob Iger, actually. He was talking about just that point where you look at the people that tend to scale the best, whether as entrepreneurs or as intrapreneurs within a business. It is the people that the first association with them is reliability.
Reliability, absolutely.
Yep.
And those people always come equipped, right? It's like, that's why they were like, well, why is that person, whenever they move, why is it they've always have this assistant with them? Why is it they always have this CFO? Or why is it always that, like that IT person or that person? And I've always been that person. When I was working prior to what I'm doing now, when I had my team, I brought my team. Like Brian's part of my team. I've kept Brian a part of my team for 30 years, over 30 years. It's keep those resources. I know, right? I know, like age yourself.
Oh, the stories.
Yeah. Oh boy. Good, bad, or different.
We don't call them stories anymore. We call them adventures.
Adventures, exactly. But it's when you create those relationships over time, that reliability, the consistency in the deliverables, the failures in some cases, like the pain, the agony, there's that amount of trust that you're going to overcome everything, right? Even if it's a failure, like we'll get through it. It isn't, you're not jumping off the bridge, and it can be devastating. I mean, there's not everything is a win, I mean, unfortunately, it would be nice if everything was wind. There's been quite a few really nice things that had started out at launch that were just amazing, going 1,000 miles an hour, that just ended up being like, oh, yeah, that trend is just not going to go.
Then there's a timing thing. When I lived in Bellingham, I lived off of Lakeway, and I worked for Bellingham Herald, doing the dial for dollars thing. Hey, you want to buy a subscription? And I remember one day, so this is in the late 90s, and I needed to pay my electric bill. And I think if I remember right, the office was down there. And I'm like, you people need to be able to do this online. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to take my payment online. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not a thing, and we're never going to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And nothing is impossible anymore. You know, it's a matter of what's your imagination, and how do you ask the right questions of yourself or whomever, you know. It's like, hey, how do I do this? How do I find this person and leverage your assets?
Instead of saying can't, say, okay, we can. Let's just figure out how to.
Yeah.
Right. Let's make it. Let's get the right resources. Let's find the right people.
We're in a realm, AI word. We're in a world right now where you need to learn how to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Back, you know, for so many years, we were taught you have to have the answer. Mm. Raise your hand. What's the answer? You know, tell me the answer. And now it's a matter of who can ask better questions and who can build on those questions. Those are the people who are actually going to get ahead. Mm. You know, and through that, I mean, by asking the questions, it's utilizing your assets and saying, hey, who's my best asset or friend or, you know, alliance or acquaintance for this, and then know how to ask them the question that relates to their expertise. And then, because
like use AI to organize.
Brandon Dawson, one of his things right now is collaboration is currency. Mm. You know, we're in a collaborative world now where everybody can become a specialist. But if you can be a specialist, but if you can't collaborate, being a specialist is still going to get you nowhere. Yeah. You know, everybody says, "Oh, what's your niche?" Okay, well, my niche is a certain type of business, not an industry, but businesses that do, you know, X number of dollars per year and is already involved in this thing. And okay, well, great. So now how do I use and how do I bring a conglomeration together to make this thing happen?
Well, no, it's as valuable as AI is, and maybe one day there will be a valuable answer to this problem. But one of the things that I've not found AI able to do is effectively network for you as the person.
Yeah.
AI could do a lot, but at the end of the day, you still have to present yourself as a figure of integrity, someone who has something to value. And that, again, as we were talking before, you're actually reliable, that you can convey that meaningfully.
For sure. And that's where things are going to go. Because people ask me all the time, or not ask me, they tell me, it's taking people's jobs away. It's like, well, it is going to take jobs away. There's certain jobs it's definitely going to take away. And an example I use all the time is back in the 1800s, there was a guy who made horse carts.
Sure.
And somebody's like, well, you know, these automobile things are coming along. He goes, who wants one of those? Those things are, you know, they're full of problems and they do this and they make noise and they break down. Well, AI does that right now. You know, it comes up with answers that are, if you know the topic, are completely wrong. But in a couple of years, that guy either adapted and started making wheels and bodies for the car, or he went out of business. And that's where we're at right now. People either have to, unfortunately, learn how to adapt to the technology and then present themselves as human beings, because human beings are still always going to be integral. They just have to adapt. And that's the one thing that human beings are capable of doing that no other animal can do. And that's adapt to the circumstances.
Well, it's really...
Or make the circumstances.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's an incredibly important point. This is almost, it's a philosophical principle, but there is no difference between death and entropy, or like entropy leads to death and stagnation is death just prolonged.
Yeah.
And so if you're at a business where you're not advancing your services, you're not changing, you're not looking for the next place where you can grow, eventually you will resign yourself to death just inevitably. That's how it has to happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's happening in a lot of our small communities around us right now.
Oh, sure.
Is people are like, they just hit this spot where we're not getting any tourists.
I've always done it this way.
We've always done it this way, and I can't get anybody coming down from this place to our. And I'm like, well, why does it have to come always from there? Have you tried to reach the other? And then and I thought they were kind of genius the other day. I wish this was my idea, and I did bring this up a few weeks ago. I was like, if we just stopped for 5 minutes and did something super simple. Stop going someplace else to eat out. Like, don't go to Bellingham if you live in Linden. Stay in Linden. Support Linden. You live here. There's probably a restaurant you haven't been to in weeks, maybe months, maybe ever. Go to the local dry cleaner. Go to the local coffee shop. Go to the local people that you know, like your kids go to school together. You hang out together. Support the local businesses that are around you. Eat, sleep, work, live local. Everybody is doing that right now north of the border. They're learning that we did this during COVID. We thought because tourist dollars were coming back that we could be reliable and that would be a flourish of money. And it was a little good. That's great. Recovery was good. But it's not what we should always be focusing. We should never there are businesses that solely will rely on tourism. That's inevitable. There are businesses that are built around that. But I think our communities, just because we're on the border with another country, shouldn't just solely rely on that tourism dollar when we have a community that can flourish within itself, right? Our restaurants can flourish serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner to our own communities, especially when large portions of our communities are affluent enough to support eating meals out regularly. They enjoy eating meals out regularly. They enjoy our community. That's why they live there. And I think the consensus in a lot of cases is they would rather not have excess traffic even in our communities. So it makes them happier when there isn't a lot of tourists in our communities anyway. So it's that double-edged sword. So, but the small businesses that are in them don't see the tourism dollars. And then the people that live here aren't supporting them locally. They're going to another community. But they're not marketing to their local. So they're not sending out a mailer or an email or doing simple things. They're not even on Facebook, but they're really good at complaining and vocalizing how awful things are for their business when they're not doing anything about it to fix it. They're not.
I was just talking to a marketer actually the other week now, and they were saying that geographically specific targeting, specifically for video ads for local businesses, is completely underutilized. No one's doing it.
Yeah.
And people are waiting to be advertised to. And that's one of those things. People want to be advertised to. They just want to be advertised in the right way.
Correct.
They do. Show me.
People want to buy, they don't want to be sold. That's everybody's
exactly
always said that. But people don't know how to do that. They all try to sell, and push. And it's like, just talk.
Share.
Kind of like we're doing now. Just talk.
Share with me your business. Like, I love sharing with people what I'm passionate about. Like I have with people, like somebody the other day said, why do you do real estate? I love helping people. I also love real estate. I love walking into a new house, and I love walking into a ratty house that is about to be torn down that can be fully remodeled, and I can see new cabinets going in. I can see new flooring going in. And my wife says I have a problem with that because every single house I go into that's needing to be fixed up, I can see it's a first-time home for somebody that needs to be purchased and renovated and has sweat equity in it, and I can see a family in it, and I can see all these things. And that's why I love doing real estate. And I love that I can do that, and I want to share that all the time. And so I communicate that as much as possible. Whenever I meet somebody and I'm sharing my story, I'm like, this is great. And I do that every medium I can. I do mailers, I do flyers, I do postcards, I do video. My video is more generic AI stuff because I'm not a fan of this. This is like a first for me. And Brian's probably going to like high five me when we leave the room because he'll be like somersaults.
He makes himself a younger version. It's like, AI, make me 40 years younger.
And 30 pounds lighter. Exactly. But you know, for me, my goal is to just
it's not that good.
It's just awareness. Like, and my goal is always just be to try to let everybody like awareness. I don't want to sell anybody me. I want people to work with me because they know, and trust me. And I try to can tell everybody is like, that's what you really want to do. Share your business so they know, like, and trust you. And that's the most important thing. You don't got to sell a special every week. Everybody has a special every week. That isn't why they come in the door. Sometimes it is. 50% off a pizza.
That's pretty compelling.
I'm coming in. If I want pizza, that's going to compel me to probably go buy that pizza. If it's Border Town Pizza, I like that. They have their own sauce. They have their own, they do all their own stuff. They're not like out of a can. So I like their stuff. So they're my favorites. But anyways, you can't always special somebody to get a customer, but sharing what's unique about your business on a video, there's so many really amazing businesses like on Front Street here in Linden, like your studio, for example, like coming in here, this is amazing studio. Not like people are going to walk in and say, hey, let's podcast today. They should. I think they really should. I really do think there's a model there. But and then Blaine, you know, I think that there's so many places along the way, like Aloha Cafe, where we're going to be tomorrow and
today.
Today, is it Thursday?
It is Thursday.
So later today. Oh my goodness, we're already probably behind schedule for some reason.
Dawn's going to be late.
I'm going to be late for everything today. So
tough thing is he's my ride.
Right? What do they call that entry? You know, like, but we have all these amazing places that. Even talking to some of the one of the concierges at one of the local hotels about their business, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we know. Like, I know you know, but to be honest, I haven't seen anything that hotel's done in 2 years come across my media.
Right.
Like I'm online, it hasn't hit my mailbox." It hasn't encroached. It's never offered up to me to bring my wife down there and stay the night and have dinner, grab and that's probably 90% of the people in a 50-mile radius south of the border.
And
so they get lost because they're afraid of what it's going to cost. They're afraid of what it's going to take. And then they haven't met you yet, which is what we're working on too.
Yeah, definitely part of it.
So we need to do that. So because
I think one of the things that people don't realize is that with digital marketing, because that is how marketing is moving, just increasingly more digital.
Certainly,
billboards will always be there. Newspapers will be. Some of them will be around for a while. But you know what? Meta advertising, Google advertising, you don't have to spend that much.
you really don't.
You really don't.
You really don't. Especially if you do it correctly and do it. I mean, it's a little different here than where I am because I say communities and literally it's the whole town. Whereas where I am, it happens to be a 3-mile square. So anyway, yeah.
But one of the things I remember I was talking to a lady that we know that works for one of the cities around here, and she was making mention about how when they want to promote an event, they'll post something on Facebook, and then Facebook has this little button right below that says like, hey, would you like to boost this post for this much money? You'll reach this many more people. And they say, yes, I want to because I want to promote this event. And all that money's just wasted.
It is.
And it's because it's shock and blast to the most amount of people that Facebook can with no mind towards geographic specifics.
Yeah. Right. Or specific interests or anything like that. So,
well, they could do that. They just don't. And I pointed this out to them the other day. they can geo-target, they can demographic target within their, they just don't have their audiences dialed in.
Well, they can't with what he's talking about though, because the boost really is anybody who happens to show any kind of interest. So I might show interest in Blaine Chamber of Commerce, for example, and because I show interest in it, if they hit boost, I get their stuff. And it's like, and it doesn't pertain to me, but tying it all together, if they do their marketing correctly and geo-target, okay, well, how do you use the same content for every single one? And now you've got AI to be able to help you specifically communicate to that demographic. So I always talk about, building your avatar, your ideal customer profile. You have to have that. But you can have more than one. Have 5, have 10. Who are your 10 top customers? And you can do analytics to figure that out. Analytics sounding like a vague word, but you can have systems figure out who your top 10 general customers are, design sales strategies and tactics around that particular person. And now you can geo-target to that number. Now people come to me and go, well, this way I can target 20,000 people, but this way I'm only targeting 800. It's like, cool. But of the 800, 50% buy, and of the 20,000, 10 buy, which is a bigger deal. So, everybody talks about, I need a viral post, or I need this. No, you don't. You need to target your posts. You need to target your videos. You need to target your audio to your ideal customer and only worry about that person. Serve the people that you serve. Don't serve the masses, because the masses are not your customer.
Yeah.
No.
And that's where, again, the first thing I do with any client is I ask that question, who's your ideal customer? And most of them don't know. So then we'll go through a process of figuring out who their ideal customers are. And it'll give psychographic, demographic, age, all of these things. And I'm like, holy cow, that's exactly who I sell to. Yeah, I know. And 10 minutes ago, you thought you knew, but you had no clue. That's why I say, my ideal customer profile is not an industry. It's a specific type of small to medium-sized business that does X number of revenue, that has this many employees, that services this size of a geographic area. So it's really dialed in. And that's just one of them. But most people think they know who their customer is, but don't.
I had that coaching meeting the other day with a local restaurateur, and we were talking about their menu of all things. And Brian actually delivered to me this really amazing restaurant evaluation tool that I've been playing with, and that he used AI to build. But I was meeting with them, and you got to ask the hard questions first of yourself, so why, the first question is like, who are you as a restaurant? Like what, their menu was so eclectic, is kind of the best word I could use. Is it because you feel that it will capture the people that are in your restaurant already to order something, because they're already sitting down, right? So if they're already sitting down, are you trying to? Your price points aren't eclectic; they're pretty solid. I mean, pretty close. Like everything is right around that same price point. So that's not eclectic, But your food is all over the place, and so that means the ingredients are also all over the place. That makes it expensive for a restaurateur.
Yeah.
The more ingredients, the higher the expense, right? So harder to prep, longer prep times, longer cook times, lots of logistics.
And that's presuming you're using all the produce that you're bringing in.
Yeah, for sure. How much waste
do you have? So, so as we're going through all these things, and so you come back, and we're sitting in their main dining room, and I was like, and what's your identity? Like, who are you? Because like when I came in, your name says one thing, your image inside tells me another thing.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not bad. It's a nice, beautiful place on exterior and in interior, but it's kind of like, I don't know. So I said, as you're going through, because they want to grow, that's their goal, is to grow, right? So they're doing well. They want to grow. So if you're doing well and you want to grow and you've got some really amazing things going on, it's like, take a step back and look at what might be in your way to make things a little bit more streamlined, more cost effective, more customer convenient. Like when I looked at their menu, my wife and I eat there quite often, and it's like, sometimes it's just like, I don't even open the menu because there's so many things on there. I just go with the normal, like what's on the like easy menu. Like, it's like, I just want like what's on special. Okay, I'll order the special. And so just anyway, so it's just trying to come back to taking what's complicated and making it simple, streamlining it, eliminating the waste, taking the tools, the AI tools. Sorry, I got chasing squirrels there.
Nothing we're not used to.
I know. But anyways, business owners just have to take a step back, analyze what they've got, use AI to do it.
Well, when you're in your business, you a lot of times don't recognize, and that's where it's always helpful to get somebody from the outside.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been around business or you've been in business for a little while. We all kind of start getting blind to what we're already doing, unless you're new with something. If you're new, you're learning, and it's like, okay, now what? And then, especially, and not to keep coming around to AI, but it is kind of the thing right now. People start getting, that's why I named this From Overwhelmed to Optimized, specifically because people are so attracted to all the shiny objects. You asked earlier about Gemini.
Yeah.
So you see a tool comes out, and now a new tool comes out. Okay, well, which tool do you use? Find one. They're all competing with each other, and I don't care if it's AI or if it's a search engine, because you've got Bing, and you've got Google, and you've got Dogpile. Is Dogpile still a thing? Not Dogpile. That wasn't what I was. DuckDuckGo was what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Dogpile used to be a thing.
Oh.
That tells you how old I am. Excite used to be a thing too. And Ask Jeeves was, all of these,
Yeah.
So all of these things were all competing at one time. Which one comes out on top? So that's where we're at right now with AI. There are all these tools. So I use a tool called GenSpark. GenSpark is great not because it's necessarily new, but because it's adapting really fast. Prior to GenSpark, I was using a tool called Bolt.ai. I'm sorry, Bolt.new. And it did a good job, but it kind of fell back, and then now it's almost forgotten. And there are all these different tools. You got to find the one that you like, that works best with you or you work best with, and stick with it and just learn it. Like ChatGPT versus Claude. I use both of them, but I use them for different reasons. And ChatGPT it's going to be the Google of AI. I think it will be, because they've got a lot of money. Yeah, there's all this stuff about, hey, we're an open source thing and whatever, and it's changed its business model. And certain people are not happy about that, but it's going to be the GOAT of AI, and I think everybody should just if you learn one, learn that. And I even use ChatGPT as Kleenex in a sense. So like Kleenex is a brand, but you don't go and ask for facial tissue. You say, hand me a Kleenex. Okay, well, is this brand okay? It's like, does it do the job?
Right.
And ChatGPT is going to be the exact same thing. So when I'm doing talks, for example, it's like, okay, who knows this company and this company and this company and this company? Cool. One might know Claude, one might know Gemini, one might know Copilot, 20 knows ChatGPT. Great. I'm going to talk about ChatGPT, but they're all the same in the topic of the conversation. and again, going back to what we were talking about before, everybody needs to know how to prompt because everything starts with a prompt.
Yeah.
Question asking. If you don't know how to give it the information, as the acronym GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
If you ask a bad question, Tony Robbins always says, ask a better question, get a better answer. And that's where we're at right now. If you ask a bad question, you're going to get a bad answer. And then people start getting frustrated. Oh, that AI doesn't work. Actually, it works really well. You just don't know how to talk to it.
Well, it's the same thing about the fellow that complains about a hammer on a work site. Is it really the hammer's fault?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always the hammer.
Yeah.
So, okay.
If you leave that hammer on the table, see how long it takes before it starts nailing a nail.
Yeah. No.
Well, look at that. Dang thing isn't working.
So as a matter of principles, I suppose, what constitutes a good prompt for an AI model?
I use CoStar as the acronym. It's context, outcome, style, tone, audience, and result. And that's basically it. If you fill in those 6 things, and there are lots of different ones, there are lots of different formulas, but that one is the primary one that I try to go by because it covers everything. And if you fill in those 6 things within your asking the question, you'll get the best answer. So you say, hey, I'm a podcaster, or you say, pretend you're a podcaster, give it the role of this. And I'm trying to do X. I'm trying to produce a world-class podcast that's going to reach, 100 million people. So they might not go in order. Okay. I need the tone to be friendly and communicative. My outcome is, to be able to produce something that is attractive to small business owners in the far reaches of the Pacific Northwest. And I need you to give me 15 podcast titles that will be relevant to this audience. Okay. That is a lot different than saying, I live in Blaine, Washington. I need 15 podcast titles that...
for my business podcast. Yeah.
You're going to get 2 entirely different results. And with ChatGPT now, it has memory. So you can turn the memory on or turn the memory off. You can customize the memory. You can delete things from memory. So it starts to get to know you. So like it knows my tone and it knows past conversations. So now I can enter into something and say, hey, do you remember this conversation from a couple weeks ago? And I'll give it some idea. It's like, yes. Okay, I remember this. Great. Bring me up to speed. Where did we leave off? And then it'll do that. It's like, okay, given what we talked about, so now we're moving further into the conversation. Given what we talked about, here's my new goal. Here's my new desired outcome. Do this thing. But all of the context has already been built, and now it knows my tone. It knows my style. It knows what I consistently ask for. And I will ask it to reiterate what I've told it before. It's like, okay, who do I like to bring their styles together? Because you can do that. So like I use a lot of old advertisers from the 60s for my my marketing stuff. Because what worked, just because it's old doesn't mean it doesn't work. So I'll bring all that together and it knows what I want. So it's like, okay, who are the 10 people that I like their marketing styles? And it'll give me the list. It's like, okay, I've got a list of negative words. People, and it drives me nuts because people will write something or have AI write something. One of the large language models, AI is such a huge thing. And then they'll just take it verbatim and copy and paste it.
Oh, sure.
And it's like, okay, well, that dash right there, you've got 5 of them in your content. So I already know you didn't edit it. And I used the word delve earlier because it's funny, but that is a tell. If it says, this podcast, it's not what it used to be. It's now this. It's like, it's not X, it's Y. Okay, well, I already know that's AI that you didn't clean up. So going back to what we were saying, you know, with people and jobs and all of those, yeah, content creators in historically and what we've always known them to be, you know, creative writers. Well, now they're creative editors. You know, it's like let this do your base, and they'll go back and clean it and make it human. You know, so yeah, there's a process. I mean, it's things done right still take time.
Oh yeah.
But using AI cuts your time down significantly. Like the guy that I was with last night, I showed him how to build an app, something he's been working on for 2 weeks. We did it in about 20 or 30 minutes.
Right.
And he was blown away. And I'm like, dude, go to your computer where you can really manipulate this stuff, and you're going to be blown away even more. And that was, I mean, I'm not a coder. He's not a coder. He's an emergency management guy. He just knows what he wants for an outcome.
Right.
Okay. So if you know what your outcome is, you know how to build the thing. You just have to know what you want. So, yeah.
No, it's a huge part of it. I just can't wait until we have AI builders that can actually build functional websites all by themselves.
That's not too far off.
No, it's not.
With agentic AI, where because I've got agents that like communicate with each other and tell each other what to do. That's so close.
Oh yeah,
so close. I just built one for somebody. Actually, I built two in the course of 20 minutes that have 2 different feels, 2 different styles, and it was a 1-sentence prompt.
right.
I am this. This is what I need. I need a website that does this and sells to this person.
There you go.
And I sent those to her, and she's like, holy cow. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I didn't even really work on them. So, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, Brian, thanks for sitting down.
Thank you.
This was a little bit spontaneous, but I've enjoyed this.
Little bit.
A little bit.
It'll take me 5